What is going on, everyone? We are here with another episode of the Spotlight series hosted by yours truly, ACK. Y'all know the drill at this point, as we're over 100 episodes. We're just here with new artists, new stories, and new music. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. And today I welcome Cole Hartley to the show. Cole, how are you today, man?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
And not too bad. It always just means a lot to me when artists take time out of their day to sit here, talk about their story through music, and just talk about music in general. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, is just what you're doing, kind of where things are going, and just kind of what your whole process is like.
Right.
So really just hopping right into the first question, because it always starts with the basic of basics. And it's kind of just a cliche question, is where did everything start for you? Because I know for some people, it starts the day they were born. They start humming nursery rhymes and stuff like that. But then someone like myself, who's a songwriter and producer, I didn't start everything until about 2018. That's really when my whole music career kicked off. So that was only 5 years ago now. But for you, where did kind of singing and playing really come about for you?
So I got my first guitar when I was 6, but my dad, like my entire upbringing from the time was brought home from the hospital until I was about 12, he would sit by our bed every single night with a guitar and he would play and he would sing to us and stuff. And he never did anything music wise for a career. He just loves so he liked to sing and liked to play guitar. And so he would do that for us and taught me my first when I was 6. And I took lessons for a little while off and on, and then just kind of figured I'd do it as a hobby. And then got into high school and kind of wanted to try my hand at songwriting. And so just again as a hobby, would just kind of do it for the heck of it. And then at the tail end of 2019, I played a song that I wrote for a buddy at a campfire, and he was like, "Dude, how come you haven't recorded that yet?" And I was like, "Well, I didn't know that was an option. I thought you had to be famous to record music and stuff." I was like, I don't know the first step to that." And he's like, "Well, yeah, I think you just got to find a studio." So we looked around and found one out of a basement in the middle of nowhere out in Utah. And so we went there and met up with the producer there, and he had never worked country music. Great guy. Never done country music at all, though. He was a rap producer, and so didn't really know what he was doing with us. And so the first 3 songs I recorded and released were just crappy, off tempo, out of place, acoustic.
Yeah.
I mean, and to give credit to him, he did do the best that he could with what we had. But
Right.
what I was doing, he didn't know country music, and so it was just kind of saying "F it" and jumping head first into the shallow end of the pool.
No, exactly. And that's what you got to do sometimes, because honestly, I just live and breathe by this quote, is you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And at the end of the day, that's just really what you got to do, because back in 2018, that's how I really started songwriting. Is my grandfather had passed away, and I had never thought about writing music or anything like that. I had just sat there and I was like, I need to just write things down and just help vent and stuff. A few months later, I did that, and all of a sudden I had the song, and I'm like, now what the hell do I do? Like I have all the lyrics there and everything. So then slowly I started reaching out to this good buddy of mine now. He's like a brother to me, Nathan Vasquez. But reached out to him, started recording it, and then things just kind of took off from there. So it's always really cool to see how people really start in the music industry.
No, I completely agree, and now what is a very common phrase in the industry. You get something done, and then you're like, okay, now what? And that's what I had to ask myself after I recorded those songs at that basement studio. I was like, well, now what?
Yeah.
And through that producer, I found another producer in Utah who had a full band backing, knew how to do country music and stuff. So I did a song with him, and then did a couple more songs with him and one more with another guy out in Utah, and had a studio from Nashville reach out to me.
Okay.
They were like, "Hey, we heard this song. We like your style. We like what you got. We want you to come out and record us. Here's the package deal we'll offer you." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Works for me."
No, I mean, how can you say no to something like that? And it's always just a really cool and crazy experience.
Yeah, and I thought it was a scam at first. I'm not gonna lie. I was
Right.
like,
You have
"There's
to be careful with some of those.
you're on Instagram in the music industry. Like everybody's always like, hey, we want to hook you up with this. Here's this and that. DM for amazing feature on every post."
No,
I was
exactly.
skeptical of it, and so I actually ignored it for a few months.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, I got a video from the account, and I was like, "This is kind of sketchy." And so I was like, "Well, screw it, I'll click it." And so I watched the video, and they addressed me by name, mentioned the song title that they'd listened to, showed a video of the studio, and they're like, "Again, here's our package deal. I want you to be a part of our breakout artist program." And I was like, "Oh, all right."
Yeah, all right. I mean, hey, if you're mentioning me by name, you got my song and you're showing me a
Right.
studio, I mean, at that point,
I
you
went
might
to
as
my
well.
second opinion, and he was like, "It's worth checking out." And so I was like, "All right." And then we went to them, and I used them for 4 songs, and then through them I had another, because I released those songs and they recorded in Nashville. I had another producer reach out, and then more producers, and I'm on my third producer in Nashville, and I love working with him. He's been great,
Yeah.
and it's I've recorded probably 12 or 13 songs in Nashville alone.
That's awesome, man. And I mean, country music's just always been a huge thing for me. And it's kind of leading into this next question a little bit is, I mean, everyone knows I'm a country boy at heart. And I always grew up on that 90s, early 2000s country with like Garth Brooks, George Strait. And then, I mean, nowadays, like you got Luke Combs, Cody Johnson, a lot of different artists like that. And I could just sit here for hours and talk about inspirations alone. But kind of for you is when it comes to singing and writing music, who are some artists that kind of really have inspired you along your journey?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my dad raised me on classic rock, and then my mom was the country influence, and it was like the old school '90s stuff too, like Black Hawk even, and then George Strait, Tim McGraw, all that stuff. So I grew up with those, but I didn't really start writing music until I really dove into like Eric Church and all those guys. And so I think some of the biggest songwriting inspirations that I have are like Eric Church, Cody Johnson. I'm wanting to write a song kind of like Zach Bryan style, see if I can get him to cut it, but his style is totally different. I don't know where to
Yeah.
start with. But I think the biggest thing for me when it comes to writing a song is the biggest part about country music is storytelling.
Right.
That kind of sets it apart from all the other genres, because like rock songs, I love rock. Rock songs, they're just kind of songs. They're music you listen to, you rock out to, you have a good time with, but there's not necessarily meaning behind all of them. There's not a story behind them. But what I found with country music is 80% of the time or so,
Yeah.
you've got songs that will paint a detailed, vivid image that you can close your eyes, and then you're on a dirt road with your windows down, and it's summer and you're fishing and all that stuff. And you can,
Exactly.
if you've done those things, like a lot of us have,
Yeah.
then you can feel those memories and you feel the nostalgia that comes with those songs. And there's so many feelings that come from those storytelling songs.
Exactly. And that's what I love so much about country music is the storytelling aspect. And I feel like you've probably, I don't know if you've seen any episodes of my Spotlight series, but you already started off with the whole storytelling aspect, and that's leading into this third question here. And that's usually how I always started is with the storytelling aspect. But the creative process, I mean, obviously, as a singer and songwriter, I know as a songwriter, there is no rhyme or reason sometimes to how you write a song. I
None
mean,
whatsoever.
exactly. Like that stuff can come at 1 in the afternoon or 1 in the morning. Like you could be driving during the day at night, you could be singing in the shower, and all of a sudden something hits you.
Choruses I've come up with have been while I'm sitting on the can.
Exactly. So it's always just really cool to ask this question because you can sit there and listen to a lot of up and coming artists, mainstream artists, whatever, and like be like, yeah, that's a great song. But like to me, it's always really cool to hear how do they actually come up with this stuff? Like where does the whole process begin? Because it's kind of like a puzzle. You have all these pieces and you're just trying to fit it all together and figure out what fits where. And slowly you put that border together, slowly you put the middle together, and piece by piece you create this whole thing. But kind of to formally ask you the question is what is your creative process like when it comes to creating music?
So it, like you said, it does vary extremely. Like it goes back and forth on each song. Sometimes I'll just be messing around on my guitar and I'll hear a melody that I like, and I'll be like, oh, maybe I should try and put, and then, or vice versa. I'll be driving or on the can or in the shower, and then a line will pop into my head, and so I'll write it down on my phone. Then I'll get home later and I'll be like, what could I branch from this line to tell a story?
Yeah.
What kind of story could I tell with this? And then other times, like let's take I don't know if you've listened to my song "Mama, Daddy, and Jesus," but let's take I for the entire time wanted to write a tribute song. The entire time I've been songwriting, I wanted to write a tribute song for for my mom, for my dad, and I'm a firm believer in Jesus, and so I wanted to write a song for him too. So I was sitting in an English class at Utah State University, and one of our assignments at the beginning of class was to do what's called a fast write, and we had 8 minutes to just write whatever popped into our heads. And for me, it was the first verse and chorus for Mama, Daddy, and Jesus, like the entire first verse and chorus in 8 minutes. And I was like, well, so I put off all my homework and quizzes, took like 3 zeros on a few different quizzes, and got the song done that day, and then tweaked it for the next few weeks. And then I was getting ready to go out to Nashville to record with a guy, and I called him. I was like, hey, cancel that one song. We're doing this one instead. And then recorded, and it's one of my favorite songs I've ever written.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about for me, honestly. Like those are the stories I love hearing, is just how one of those songs comes about and just what the whole process is like. Because I was on another interview a couple weeks ago, and we were just saying like there's no book on how to songwrite. Like it's nothing that you can sit there and go detail for detail and figure out. It's an art to be able to sit there and songwrite at the end of the day.
And you can try and coach somebody through that, because I have tried. I've got friends and stuff that have been like, hey, how do I write a song like this? And I'll try and help them. We'll be like, well, maybe switch this line right here for something like this, make it sound more like this and that. Yeah. And what beyond that, like they have to come up with the story.
Right. Exactly. And that's just really what it all drives through, is just telling that story, putting those emotions in there, and just having that vivid picture when you hear that song, and just being able to sit there, close your eyes, and picture that from front to, it's like reading a book just from front to back, just to have that whole storytelling aspect. Yeah. And kind of getting to the fourth question here is always one of my favorite questions, and it's always the hardest question that I do ask on the show, but at the end of the day is, there's hundreds and thousands of artists out there trying to make a name for themselves. Obviously down in Nashville, wherever you are and stuff like that, but no matter even where you are, because even up here too, there's plenty of artists going around. But at the end of the day is, what would you say makes you compared to all these other artists, and what can we kind of take away from your music that we're not going to find in other artists' music?
You're right. That is a hard question. What sets me apart from everybody else? I don't know. I guess I could say from my personal experience, I was, thanks to who my dad is, I've been blessed with a strong work ethic and a drive and motivation and whatnot. And so, I mean, I've had friends try and make it in the music industry and stuff. They come out, they're like, oh, I just wrote this song, go check it out or whatever. And it doesn't do very well on their first song. And so they expect it to go viral right off the bat. And so they give up, because it's hard. My first song, it took like 6 or 7 months to hit 500 streams.
Right.
And like, I was ecstatic when it finally hit 500. I was like, let's freaking go. I'm about this, even though it took like 6 months.
Yeah.
Whereas now I've been doing this for about 3 years full time, and it's every single day is just a grind, but you have to keep with it. But now every song I release, I get 500 streams typically overnight.
Yeah.
After the release, at least 500.
And stuff like that's super awesome too, because that, like, a lot of people don't understand is how much of a grind it can really be some days. Like success doesn't happen overnight, and a lot of people, sometimes people don't understand that. And in the music industry, it takes a long time to even get a song recorded sometimes too, and it's a long process.
Well, and I don't want to come across as like, hey, look at me, I work harder than everybody else, because that's not true. There are guys out there who are working just as hard as I am, sometimes harder.
Yeah.
But I've been fortunate that the hard work that I have put in has been paying off in ways that it has. Because, like I said, my third year performing, and I'm on my fourth or fifth night performing straight at Losers at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So, in a million years did I think that I'd be playing, but here I am.
No, exactly. And that's what happens with hard work. And at the end of the day too, is like, I've listened to a lot of your music getting ready for this interview and stuff, because we set this up like a couple weeks ago, but just listening to your music, there's no one out there that sounds like you either. You're Cole Hartley. And at the end of the day, I can put you in a lineup with 100 different artists.
A little bit on the unique side. It's a little different than I've heard it's like a blend between like Eric Church, Hunter Hayes, and a whole bunch of other guys. But
Yeah.
then on the flip, also go deep like Josh Turner and all that and whatnot. But
Exactly. And that's what makes it really special because at the end of the day, I can put you in a lineup with 100 different artists, but when one of your songs comes on, I'm like, hey, I know who that is. Like that's that guy because he's just you stand out more and it just you're a talented singer, talented songwriter, and it just you know what you're doing.
no, I don't. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm really good at winging it.
Hey, that's what it's all about. But kind of getting to the fifth and final question here before we hear some live music from you, which is always my favorite part of the show. But you have a lot of songs out right now on streaming platforms and stuff like that. And obviously you're playing some live shows. You said you're out in Vegas playing a couple shows and stuff like that. But kind of looking short term and long term, what are some of your goals as an artist and just what else can we expect down the road from you?
All right. That's a great question. So I think my biggest goal with music is to be able to provide for myself and in the future a family through music. Like I've worked a ton of jobs. I've done a whole bunch of different things, but music's the one thing that I really feel the happiest at, you know?
Yeah.
And so I don't need to be Morgan Wallen famous or Luke Combs famous or any of that stuff. I mean, sure, that'd be great. No one's gonna turn that down. Like the paycheck they get off one song alone is more than I've made my entire life.
Yeah.
But that's not what's important to me. It's not about the money for me. It's about the music. I love writing songs. I like a lot of guys don't talk about the things bugging me in life. I have to sing about them if I want to express myself.
Yeah.
And so for me, being able to provide for not only myself but a family through writing songs and performing and all of that is would be making it in life for me.
Yeah. No, and that's awesome because that's just those are the answers I love hearing because at the end of the day is if you're just sitting there and you're writing music, you're playing music and recording and releasing and stuff like that, and that's what makes you happy at the end of the day, then that's to me that's what it's all about because that's what it is for me. Like right now music's part-time for me, but at the end of the day is I'm loving what I'm doing and even this interview series too, all part-time stuff, but it's what I love doing. I have a passion for it and it's something I'll continue to do until the day I die.
Right. No, I totally understand that. And as far as what people can expect from me over the next year,
Mhm.
I've got a lot of shows stacking up for this year. We're booking stuff out into November. Most of them are out in Utah,
Mhm.
just not. But we're hoping to branch out to neighboring states, and I might even be playing a few shows in Nashville this year.
Awesome.
Be awesome. I'm sure I'll be back here in Vegas again this year.
Yeah.
As that's as far as live music. As far as recorded music and stuff goes, I've got 4 songs, possibly 5 or 6, that I'll be releasing this year.
Awesome. And like, man, like I said, like I'm a huge fan of yours. I love what you're doing right now. I love the music that you have out, and I just can't wait to see what else happens for you. And hopefully one of these days I'll be scrolling through Instagram and you'll have a show up here in Boston at some point.
Hey, I'm gonna try to make that happen. I love Boston.
Uh, I mean, it's nice during
Yeah,
the summer.
dude.
Yeah, it's nice during the summertime when it's nice and hot and cool up here, but during the wintertime, sometimes it ain't too fun to be up here.
I get a lot of snow in Utah, but I'll take what I'm getting over y'all's winter.
No, exactly. Actually, honestly, this year hasn't been that bad. We've maybe only had like a couple of inches. Usually, I mean,
Oh,
yeah, we've like had nothing up here recently this whole winter, so it's been good. But usually, it's like a few feet of snow.
yeah, no, we've been averaging a couple of feet per storm this year.
Ugh. Yeah, no, we've been lucky enough to keep it, and hopefully now the warmer weather's starting to come in.
This is Las Vegas right now, right? Sunny, 70s, beautiful. Back home at my house, there's like a foot of snow that I got to shovel when I get home.
Oh, jeez, that's no fun. But at least you're living life right now and enjoying the weather while you can.
I am enjoying this. Big cities aren't typically my thing, but the weather's nice.
Yeah, and hey, that's all that matters at the end of the day. And the thing that kind of get into talking about the end of the day and stuff, talking about the end of the interview here is hearing a live song from you.
Yeah.
So other than that, what I'll do is if you want to just let us know about what song you're doing, kind of how this song came about, if it's an original, but if it's a cover, whatever. And other than that, I'll put myself on mute and the floor is yours.
Okay, sounds good, man. All right, so this song that I'm going to play for you is actually the first song that I've got coming out this year. It'll be coming out next month on the 21st of April. And this song came about. kind of interested in this girl, kind of seeing where it was going and whatnot. Figured it would end up just being friends and stuff, but the thought, the words "take it slow" popped into my head, and I was like, I don't know any songs titled "Take It Slow," and so I'm gonna write it. And so I went to bed that night and woke up the next morning and had some of the lyrics for this song. And so this is called "Take It Slow."
There ain't no denying the spark that we've been fighting. And maybe I'd be lying if I said I didn't wanna give it a try. So why don't we let the feelings flow, nice and slow? Come on, girl, what's the worry there? Ain't no need to hurry. We can take our time and get it right. Yeah, girl, you know you're in control, so let's take it slow. I'll treat you like a queen, be the man of your dreams. You ain't never seen love quite like mine. So let's take our time and let the feelings flow, nice and slow. Come on, girl, what's the worry there? Ain't no need to hurry. We can take our time and get it right. Yeah, girl, you know you're in control, so let's take it slow. And let the feelings flow, nice and slow. Come on, girl, what's the worry there? Ain't no need to hurry. We can take our time and get it right. And let the feelings flow, nice and slow. Come on, girl, what's the worry there? Ain't no need to hurry. We can take our time and get it right. Yeah, girl, you know you're in control. You've got the reins to my soul. So let's take it slow. Take it slow. Take it slow.
I mean, it's songs like that that just I love when I'm able to put myself on mute, and like I never heard that song before you just played it now, and it's just I was already singing along by the second chorus. That's
I
how
love
catchy it is, and like that's what I love about putting myself on mute, because then I can sing and glass can start cracking and breaking and stuff back here. But I mean, just a very well written song, man. Like I love the vibe to that. Just love the story behind that, and it's such a great song, and I can't wait for that one to come out.
Yeah, so that'll be coming out April 21st.
Awesome. I'm definitely excited for that. And that kind of concludes everything I had today, man. And again, Cole, thank you so much just kind of for taking time out of your day to sit here, play a song for us, and talk about your story through music.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
No, of course. So that kind of concludes another episode of the Spotlight series hosted by yours truly, ACK. Y'all know the drill at this point is Sundays, 1 p.m. Eastern. We got new music, new artists, new stories. Never know who's gonna pop through. So y'all go check out Cole Hartley. And thanks for tuning in today, and y'all stay tuned for next week.